before we begin tonight's video, huge shout out to our friend Daniel Alba, or Evernight Studio, you might know him as, or a affiliate of GVG, Good Vibes Gaming. Huge, amazing friend of the channel. He's created a lot of our assets that you've been seeing, across all of our videos. We can't thank him enough for all the work that he's done, and he's actually created a lot of the assets for the new rebooting of Fairy Fountain News. So if you guys are excited for the rebirth of Fairy Fountain News, please leave a like and a comment. It would help us out immensely. And again, I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Daniel, for all of your help on all of the stuff that you've created for the entire channel, but also for the reboot of the show. So thank you so much, and let's hop right into the show. Live from the Crazy Cap Studios, this is Fairy Fountain News. I am your host Jaden, aka Slime Boss, and tonight's top stories: the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is upon us, so what are a couple of things that we can expect? It's been quite a while, so it's time to hop back into the Fairy Fountain News. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, because even at the $1 a month tier, you can check out exclusive videos and get access to all of our videos either a day early with Fairy Fountain News or a week early with the Crazy Cat Podcast. Don't forget to join our Discord server. The link is always in the description below, where you can get access to all of their announcements, upcoming changes, and maybe even the grand return of Fairy Fountain News. If you want to get random announcements like this, or even any other things, join our Discord server. It's a lot of fun in there, and maybe you even become a guest on one of our episodes. And let's finally drop the act, because it has been quite a while since we last had a Fairy Fountain News, and so today it's time to just shoot the shit tonight, because I have a lot to talk about in so little time. So first two things I want to talk about is a few NSO things going on. The first of which is that Wario Land 4 and Donkey Kong 94, both amazing games, are both now playable on NSO, which I highly recommend that you check out. But also, we have a removal of Super Soccer, which sets a very, very weird precedent for the future of NSO. Me personally, I don't think it'll mean too much, but there is the potential that it could mean the removal of third-party games such as Banjo-Kazooie and many other things. I'm not saying that will happen, but there is still a chance of that happening. Anything that is third-party and not directly Nintendo-related could potentially be taken off the service, and things that are kind of legally ambiguous on which should be on the service or not, begs the question. So keep an eye out for future removals to the service, which is absolutely crazy that we don't even have everything that we have ever wanted on the service, and things are already getting taken away from us. Kind of insane, in my opinion. But we also had two major releases since we've last spoke: Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Now, guys, come on. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is not a bad game. Is it worth $60? That's up to debate. But all we've ever wanted since the beginning of the Switch era is for a definitive way to play Donkey Kong Country Returns. Yes, we have Tropical Freeze, which is supposedly an infinitely better game. I haven't finished it yet, so we'll see. But just, it's what we wanted. What we wanted from the beginning. A simple HD remaster of the 3DS version, which includes bonus levels and, the modern mode and the button controls versus the motion controls. That's literally all we ever wanted, and now we're complaining about it. Come on. This is ridiculous. This is starting to get ridiculous. Now, something that people are currently praising, which is insane because people hated this game back in the day. It's almost like a weird reversal of everything. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Now, what was insane about this game is this game was well beyond its time. It was a console MMO pseudo MMO that was in an open world, which I don't even, I think Final Fantasy XIV is very similar, but this is like what Monolith Soft was built for. They created their magnum opus, but it just failed to grab people. This was at a time right after Xenoblade Chronicles 1, where yes, it's an amazing game, but you know, nobody really knew about it. It released way too late in the Wii's life cycle. People didn't really enjoy the graphic style, and Xenoblade Chronicles wasn't in the position that it is in now. And so, although this is a very cool, very big scale project for Monolith Soft, it just didn't really pan out because one, it was on a failing console, and two, it was just maybe a little too soon. Question mark? Maybe. I don't know. But as far as I'm understanding, it is a great game. All the multiplayer features are now intact. The online features are back. And the game actually ended on a cliffhanger. So now we can actually experience the end of the game, plus potentially a bonus story as well. I'm really excited for it. I picked myself up a copy. I'm going to be checking it out. I've been told multiple things by many people, whether to check it out before Xenoblade 1 or after, or like Sugar Connery, for example, was like, yeah, you can just play it now. Versus a buddy of mine was like, you really can't play it without playing another Xenoblade game, so I don't know. I'm debating. I'm really debating on just jumping right into it after I finish Donkey Kong Country Returns. So, let's get into the news this week, because there is a lot to cover. So, first things first, since we last spoke, the Switch 2 was actually revealed. So, let's get a few things straight before we hop into the Switch 2 Direct next week. A lot of people seem to have a misunderstanding of what exactly the Switch 2 is, and it kind of sucks on the surface level of it, because we know, as enthusiasts, that it's potentially 4K supported with DLSS and all the doohickeys, but that we've seen from the leaks. But from a casual onlooker, this is all we know. 1, it's a bigger screen, less bezel, bigger console. 2, there's a USB port at the top. 3, the Joy-Cons are bigger. 4, the kickstand is a lot better and goes farther back. And there's a new Mario Kart on it. The Joy-Con are seemingly a lot better looking and feeling as well. They're also magnets. There's also an additional button on the bottom of the right joystick, or the right Joy-Con, and we don't know what it does yet. In fact, we don't even know that there's a letter on it when there's actually a C on it. And there's a new Mario Kart. That's all that we know. And there's a new dock as well, I guess I should say. But that's all that we know. I know that it showed like the Joy-Cons going around like mice. They never said anything definitive yet, but we can kind of assume that it is going to have mice control. They did show that optical sensor, but it is all technically still purely speculation. And the major issue with showing the Switch 2 that way, and they may have just had to have been forced their hand, unfortunately, to show it at the time that they did, but they really didn't show much other than a new Mario Kart. And although I was very excited because I knew what everything meant, it doesn't really hold a whole lot of value to the common consumer. So, you know, you never know. But I've already stated my thoughts on the Switch 2. We went many weeks last year, you know, when I first started up this show, discussing my thoughts on how the Switch 2 will be. And we have a whole video predicting how they should handle the Switch 2 reveal, which you should definitely still check out. It's on our channel. I highly recommend that you check it out. But we have a special guest that I'm going to hand it over to discuss his thoughts on the Switch 2. Take it away, Pug.
Thank you, Slime Boss. I would like to give my input on this upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I am very excited about the new Mario Kart they showed during the first look this mid-January, and I'm hoping for some more Mario titles to be announced as well. I'm also hoping for a new Kirby game to be announced, and also maybe a 3D Zelda, perhaps, and possibly a Yoshi's Island remake, and maybe some news about the new Splatoon game they might be releasing. Well, that's all the info I can provide at this time. Back to you, Slime Boss.
Thank you, Pug. Very insightful comments that you had there. I'm personally really excited for the Switch 2, and I think we're all really excited to see what happens next week. Or this week, technically. My bad, chat. But we have a few more little bits of news. First of all, there's a few Lego things that got announced since I've been gone. First is Lego Pokemon that was announced on Pokemon Day, and Mario Kart, Lego Mario Kart, which was announced on Mario Day. Pretty cool. Not really too excited for it just because I don't have any of the other Lego Nintendo sets and I really want them. They're just really expensive, and you can't have 4 different hobbies. Like you just can't do that and live a reasonable life unless you guys support the Patreon. Then we can check it out on video. So if you want that to happen, go to our Patreon and have us buy Legos for content. Anyways, we also had a Nintendo Direct last week. I know, we're about to go into a Nintendo Direct. We actually just got back from one, which is part of the reason why I'm bringing back Very Fountain News now. So the Nintendo Direct actually brought us some really cool things. First of all is the Patapon Replay Collection, which is a PlayStation IP. Everybody's Golf, which is a PlayStation IP. Absolutely insane that we're getting PlayStation games on Nintendo hardware. I couldn't imagine the day, but yet here we are. Like, if you can talk about like Kingdom Hearts or whatever, but like that doesn't really count because that's a third-party thing with console exclusivity. Versus now, this is PlayStation only, PlayStation owned, Japan studio. The floodgates have been opened on what potentially could come to Switch 2, even Gravity Rush, maybe Little Big Planet if they don't choose to make more games in that series. Future's looking bright for what could be ported to the Switch, and Sony currently doesn't have a portable platform anymore, so Loco Roco, I don't know, a lot of people that played Astrobot are probably also Nintendo fans, so putting those older IP onto Nintendo platforms, giving people a chance to check out these older PlayStation titles, it's a great way to do so. And speaking of older titles, older Nintendo titles, we also have Tomodachi Life bringing a grand return to Nintendo Switch. I never expected this to happen in a million years, and yet here we are. We're back. We're finally back playing Tomodachi Life. However, and actually I should also mention Rhythm Heaven as well. Shout out to Ash Paulson. He's been begging for this game since the dawn of the Switch, and here we are 8 years on, and we're finally getting it. It's absolutely crazy. Like I'm more of a fan of a Tomodachi Life, but I just can't believe that they're even considering making games in this franchise anymore, which is good, all things considered. But like, my mind was blown because this was a very weird Direct, all things considered, and the fact that we're seeing both of these titles again is just absolutely insane. But here is the stickler, unfortunately. Both of these games are releasing in 2026. Hello? Did we forget that the Switch 2 is coming out? Like, these games are likely going to be releasing on Switch 1. Now, I would understand that if it was still within the physical year of if it was still within 2025. We're beyond that now. We don't even have a release month, time frame. They can release at any random point in 2026. What are we doing? This to me is like I would expect Switch 1 games, first party Switch 1 games, to be releasing. I thought they would have stopped, prior to the Switch 2 releasing, but at the very bare minimum, March of 2026. These are likely farther out than that, which, it very well could be. It probably isn't, but very well could be. And I'm just talking first party. I'm not saying that second party, other companies are still going to be supporting the Switch, but Nintendo themselves, I never saw any farther than 2026. That seems too far for me. And yet here we are with two 2026 undated games, mind you. And it's blowing my mind that we're even considering that anymore, and Nintendo's already doing it. So I clearly don't understand their strategy at all. Not that, again, a lot of people are like, well, they don't want to close off that market and those titles will still be playable on Switch 2. It's like, I get it, but like, you want to shut down the Switch 1 at some point. And again, tomorrow you have to make a very clear argument that people should be buying the Switch 2, because right now your argument isn't very good, which means you're going to continue to have to support the Switch 1, which the Switch 1 is a very underpowered console with many flaws that supposedly the Switch 2 is going to fix. Now, if you also charge people $500 for said console, then you're going to make a lot more people mad, because now you're going to basically forcing their hand to be getting a better console for no reason. So you have to justify that price, which I perfectly expect that they're able to do, but just 2026 is absolutely insane to me. It just seems way too far out. But you know, what do I know? Little Nintendo man over here just playing his goofy Marios. Anyway, moving on, we have a few more non-Nintendo Switch related bits. Well, going beyond the Nintendo Switch, digital game cards. I'm not even going to try to explain what this is. If anybody wants to try and explain it in the comments down below. Basically, imagine you got a physical game card. I own this. This is mine. Which means I can pop this in any Switch that I want. I have 5 Switches. Me and nobody else I know has 5 Switches. Now, why would I want to play Luigi's Mansion 2 other than on my main Switch? That I don't understand. The digital game cards, well, basically I could loan this guy to a friend, and they would be able to play Luigi's Mansion 2 and try it out, and then they would give it back to me. That's their idea with the digital game cards. However, you still can only access them if they're on your account. So let's say I have one Switch and another Switch. They both have to have my account signed into it in order to use the digital game cards. And because of that, if I want to play Mario Odyssey on one Switch, I can't play it on another Switch at the same time. That's the idea. And so that doesn't make any sense to me, because why would you go out of your way to sign into your account on another Switch? Now, what does make sense to me is if you're like, hey, let me loan you my digital game card to another console with another account. And you can do that, technically. The only thing that's holding you back from doing this is that you have to be a part of the family plan on NSO in order to do that. Which, again, I don't fucking understand what the point of this is. Like, what was the problem that you were trying to solve? I'm like, what was the problem? And your solution is very confusing. I don't get it. If someone wants to explain in the comments, like, please do, because I'm so confused. And finally, Nintendo Today. I would do a tour of the app like I did last time, but I can't get into it at the moment. But there's a lot of cool stuff that has already come out about it. Number one, we now know that the Nintendo Switch 2 has a little C button, and that's the first time that they've ever officially conveyed that. We also have a few more new renders of the Switch 2 as well, so that's pretty cool. And we also have a lot of really cool stuff, like, you know, in and around the app as well. But the big thing is that the very next day after the Direct, we got the confirmation that the Zelda movie is releasing on March 26, 2027, which I can kind of speculate that I think that would be a great year to release the next 3D Zelda. I don't know, maybe next year, maybe 2027, but might be a good time. Again, it's been already 2 years since Tears of the Kingdom came out, which is absolutely fucking insane to think about, but you know, that, what was it, 2017, and then 2019 they announced it, so maybe at the end of the Switch 2 Direct, they're like, hey, you know, Zelda's coming, you know, potentially maybe around the time of the Zelda movie. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Gives them just enough time to develop it. They just have to say, hey, new 3D Zelda in development for Switch 2. Don't worry about it, it's coming. And it'll come the same time frame as the Zelda 1 or the Zelda movie. So I think that's pretty smart to go about it. Okay, so I recorded the entire video and got about halfway through editing, and I completely forgot to talk about the Pokemon Presents that happened at the beginning of the year as well. So a couple of things. One, we got shown off actual gameplay of Legends ZA with a couple of things to note. One, there are these wild zones that you go into. First of all, the rumors are true. You only explore the entirety of Lumiose. And when I mean the entirety of Lumiose, I mean the entirety of Lumiose. Lumiose is so much bigger than it was before, number one. And number two, all those little alcoves and crevices that you couldn't go through in X and Y, you can now. And that means you can actually start exploring the, you know, different wild zones that they have for you. That's where you're able to actually catch your Pokemon, similar to Legends Arceus. Then there's also the rooftops where you can also fight Pokemon as well. There's also a completely built from the ground up battle system not like seen anywhere else in other Pokemon games, and not like a twist on the formula like we had with Legends Arceus. No, an entirely new formula that is completely real-time based, and Mega Evolution returns as well. And I have some thoughts. So far, I don't really like the fact that we're contained within Lumiose. Second, I don't like the fact that it's real-time either. I am going to stick with Moist Critical on this one. Although it's a nice evolution of the formula and it'll be fine for one game, it's not really something that we should be pushing into the regular games. It's so far, based on what I've seen, it doesn't even look enjoyable to me, let alone actually pushing the envelope when it comes to Pokemon. Just personally speaking. However, this is probably the best looking Switch Pokemon game we've had to date. Looks great. Looks better than Scarlet and Violet, which is absolutely insane. Looks like it's running better than Scarlet and Violet, which is also absolutely insane. Also, we got to show off our starters a little bit as well. And it's Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepig. Very, very strange choices, but I think I'm going to be going with Tepig, personally. Also, at the Nintendo Direct, we also got more of a glimpse of the game, and we got to look at what Nighttime brings. It brings the ZA Battle Royale, where you're going into these wild areas and fighting trainers with Mega Evolution with this real-time strategy thing. And again, I'm not really into it. Like, it looks super weird and off to me that, like it's not like a Xenoblade thing going on. It's a very weird system, so hopefully it plays better in actual, like, when we actually play it and get hands-on with it, but it just seems so off to me. And we now know where the Z and the A come from. You go from rank Z all the way up to rank A, so looking interesting, and I'm slowly getting more disappointed with the game as time goes on, because I really love X and Y, and it's my favorite games in the series, so having these things just start racking up is just starting to become very disappointing, because I miss Kalos. Honestly, I would rather them just do a simple HD remaster of X and Y and call it in a day. So I guess we'll see how it goes going more into the year. And then we also had a brand new look at something called Pokemon Champions, which seems like a pseudo successor to Pokemon Stadium, where I'm more excited for that than ZA now at this point, because it seems like a replacement for Pokemon Showdown or whatever it's called, like a more official version of that. And what really got me excited is the fact that you're able to potentially do Pokemon battles where you're fighting Gigantamax Pokemon with Mega Evolved Pokemon, which is an absolutely, like, dream come true as someone who's been watching the anime. Seeing Ash have all those freaking things on his wrist is just absolutely mind-boggling. So we haven't seen a whole lot of that, but I just wanted to point out that I'm really excited for that. But that's pretty much going to do it for tonight's news. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. As per usual, check out our Patreon. For even $1 a month, you can get access to videos early and exclusive content as well. And check out Dubby, our sponsor and partner. They have amazing, great flavors. And if you use our code CrazyCap, you get 10% off your order. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I've been your host, Jaden, aka Slime Boss. This has been Fairy Fountain News, live from the Crazy Cap Studios. Have a good night.